Welcome everyone. I know our timing is off, so thanks for being flexible. I'm excited to have a special guest talking on a subject that I think so many of you are curious about and confused about and don't quite understand. And I have listened to Patrick, some videos he has on YouTube about coach placement and maximizing your income with it. And honestly, I was just really intrigued, and I reached out and asked him if he would do a call for us, because I think it is a topic that so many of us, you either get it or you don't. Patrick is a fellow accountant like I am, so I think it's kind of one of those numbers things, like you get it or you don't. And the way he explains it is really great. So we're excited to have you here with us, Patrick. I'll let you, kind of give a little background on, how you got started here, and then we'll let you dive in.
Awesome. Cool. So this is kind of like a diamond call, right?
Yeah, diamond, star, diamond up. So it's from like Mel's downline, so the whole dream team wide, diamond and above group.
Oh, cool. And that's Mel's team is called the dream team. So it's her whole downline. Awesome. All right, cool. So I've been a coach for 10 years. It'll be 10 years in next month. But I wasn't one of those coaches that came out of the box firing and just killed this thing. For me, it was more of kind of a hobby in the beginning. I went to a few events and I saw some other coaches talking about the type of lifestyle they created, the impact they were having, the income they were creating. And it was an eye opener for me. I was someone who, like you said, I was in accounting. That was like my corporate career. I had one goal. I was going to be a partner at the PwC, the biggest accounting firm in the world. And there was really no one that was going to throw me off that path until I heard Carl Deichler speak. And then I was like, oh shit, he's got a little bit something cooler than being a partner at this accounting firm. And it took me a little while to kind of understand how to see the big picture in this business. And I got lucky enough that I was in Boston at the time, and there was two guys in Boston. Their names were Keith Callahan and Bob Lucido. Any of you guys ever heard those names before? So they're both Million Club members. They've been in the Million Club for a long time. I think they probably both make $1 million a year now or something like that. But they always had the same thing they were always preaching every time I saw them speak. And it was, if you want to create a full-time income with this thing, if you want to maximize the content, if you want to impact way more lives than you ever think you could on your own, it comes down to one thing. And so anytime someone asks me, Pat, how do I create a six-figure income with this thing? How do I make this a full-time income? I always tell them one thing: develop leaders. That's it. Now, it's not the easiest thing in the world, but if you can find 2 or 3 real leaders that become leaders, not just of followers, but leaders of leaders, you can find 2 or 3 real leaders like that, your business is going to explode. And obviously you want to balance your legs out, and we'll talk about that, but it's really a matter of finding those 1 or 2 great leaders on your left and 1 or 2 great leaders on your right. And they don't have to be personally sponsored to make that happen. That's what's going to create all the team volume. So a lot of coaches, they don't really feel comfortable explaining the comp plan. So one of the things I really help my coaches get comfortable with is, if someone comes up to them and says, how do you make money as a coach? I want them to feel really comfortable with, and then they don't have to go off on this huge tangent. They can explain it in less than a minute. So the way I kind of explain it when someone asks me is, I tell them there's 2 main ways you earn as a coach. The first, retail commission. Customers order from you, you get a commission, usually between 25 and 40%. Second way you earn is, as you start to help some of those customers become coaches and you start to build a team, you earn what Beachbody calls a team bonus. And they give you, it kind of works out to be about 5% of everything your team sells if you have even legs. So retail commission is about 25 to 40% of everything that your customers order from you. Team bonus works out to be about 5% of everything that your team sells. And that's Beachbody's way of thanking you for empowering other people to help other people. That's Beachbody's way of thanking you for helping other people become coaches and have success. So it gives you that team bonus that was kind of like a 5% match. So that's kind of how I explain it. And I think that makes it a little bit easier for people instead of trying to go into super depth with you got to have 200 on your one leg, 100 on the other to get the $18 team cycle bonus. But that's kind of how I come up with that 5%. I'm sure you guys already know, like, you know, you got 200 volume on one leg, 100 volume on the other. I'm starting to lose people already. I can already tell. As soon as you get into this stuff, like, that's when people are like, what? But if you get 200 volume on one and 100 volume on other, then that's one team cycle bonus to get $18 as a diamond, right? So that $18 works out to be about like 5% of that team volume, that 300 team volume that you're getting. So instead of trying to explain that, I just say, as you build a team, you get about 5% matching bonus of anything your team sells. And when you first start in this business, 100% of your income is the retail commission, right? And the team bonus is like, you maybe make $18 or $14 like a week or a month, and it's like not a lot. But as you start to grow this team and you start to get a few good coaches, all of a sudden that team bonus explodes past anything you can earn on your own with the retail commission. Because just like any job in the world and most businesses, your income is based on 100% your effort. So you're constantly trading effort for income. You're constantly trading time for money. That's old school. You're always going to be trapped because you only have so many hours in a day. And if you're only earning based on your effort and your time, you're going to be capped on what you can earn, and you're going to be capped on how much time you have to do other things in your life. But if you can create a team bonus that's bringing in an income, whether you're working or not, when you're sleeping or you're on vacation or you're sick or you're spending time with family or you're volunteering, and that income is still coming in because you're building a great team of people that are helping a ton of people more than you can on your own, and that income grows, and you're not capped by how much time you have, and you're not capped with how much time you're allowed to be spending doing other things in your life. So, the team bonus is really where the top earning coaches, 90+% of their income's coming from that team bonus versus the retail commission. So the key to kind of building that team bonus up is leaders. So I tell them, big picture, you want to find those leaders, and then I kind of explain kind of the two ways you earn, and then where the team bonus is really the most important. So a couple little like kind of things I do to really get coaches excited about their team bonus and excited about building that type of income is I kind of explain it this way. Like, do you guys like raise your hand if you kind of understand you can eat when you sign a coach, you usually either put them all the way down at the bottom outside left leg, or you put them all the way down on the bottom outside right leg, kind of like a Christmas tree. I kind of explain it like when I'm teaching my coaches how to build, I say, build it like a Christmas tree. So you always are putting bottom outside. And then if you put them bottom outside, it helps everybody that's up above them. And you're basically, if you put a coach in your bottom outside left, you're helping every coach in that left leg. You're helping them with their left leg. Does that make sense? And same right. If you put your coach bottom outside right, you're building everyone else's right leg. So let's say let's say you're on a Zoom call one-on-one with a coach. This is what I do with all of my coaches. I do the getting started right. You know, I get them started right, but I always want to teach them this too. So here's what you would do with them. For example, let's say that you put someone in your right leg, and then, you know, a week later, 2 weeks later, or a month later, maybe you get on a Zoom with them. What I do with them is I go into the Coach Online office. I go to Graphical Genealogy, and I share my screen, and I show them where they are. And then I show them that I've already placed, and the team has already placed a couple coaches in that right leg for them. And they're always like, wait, every single time, they're always like, wait a second, who are they? Who are those coaches in my right leg? Like, what do they have to do with me? I don't get it. And I'm like, this is like the coolest thing about this business is it's a team effort. So all of these coaches on your right leg, everything that they do, all the effort they put in, all the people they help is going to benefit you and your business and your income to the extent that you can match it by building your other side. I'm going to create all this potential for you. And what I call it, let's say if I'm building their right leg, I say, I'm building your right bank account. Because I'm a visual learner. A lot of people are visual learners. I say, think of all these coaches that are in your right leg, and they're going to be more and more added. This right leg, think of this as your right bank account. Every time one of these coaches in your right leg buys or sells something, that's a deposit into your right bank account. You know, we call that a carryover account, but I call it, that's your right bank account. Every time someone buys or sells something, boom, deposit into your right bank account. Now, you can't touch that yet until you can match it on the other side, but you can create this carryover account where that deposit is going in there every day, every sale, every purchase is a little deposit into your right bank account, and nobody can touch that right bank account except for you. That's your right bank account. That's your right carryover account. So, and I tell them, one of the coolest things about this business is because of that, you have so much potential. We're going to create so much potential for you, but you have to earn it by building your other side as well. You got to match that. So now you have all this crazy, and I think a lot of coaches, what they think is, whoa, like I'm not starting from ground zero. I already have something that's sitting here waiting for me. I got to earn it. So now I'm not starting from nothing. I already have something here. I got to work towards it. And a lot of times that is what motivates people to actually go. So real quickly, back to like my little story about how I started as an accountant. So when I started doing this business, I didn't really go all in 100%. But what happened was I didn't have anyone build any legs for me, right? Like I didn't sign up and get a power leg built or anything like that. Like I'm kind of talking how we're going to help our coaches. But that's fine. It made me take ownership of my business a little bit more. But I did get like one really good coach on my one leg who is my mom. She's like the first coach I signed up. And she like got it. I was like, Mom, like we're going to do this thing. And she like got some of her friends and my sisters. And so my one leg started to kind of grow. Meanwhile, life got in the way a little bit. I got wrapped up in tax season and accounting and all that. But that right leg, that right bank account was growing for me. And I had this carryover account that was sitting there waiting for me to take advantage of it. And it pissed me off. As an accountant who's sitting and seeing an income build that I can't touch, but it's growing, that was like laughing at me. Like I had this bank account, this carryover account that was laughing at me, and the bigger the carryover account got, the louder it laughed at me. And the more I got pissed at it. And the more fuel I had to be like, listen, like I'm never, ever going to quit. And that's the mentality I always want my coaches to have is, why would you quit? If you quit, there's a giant bank account sitting here waiting for you with your name on it. No one can touch it except for you. And if you quit, it disappears. Why would you quit? Like, get pissed and earn that. All you got to do to earn that is find one really great coach on the other side to get the ball rolling. And what happens when you find one really good coach on your weak leg? Now, it's not just you looking to find a great coach on your weak leg. Now there's two of you working to find a great coach on that weak leg. So you're going to find the third even faster. And so that's the mentality I had was, I just need to find one great coach on this weak leg that helped me build this thing that gets this lifestyle, that gets the opportunity as much as me. And I know I'm never going to quit because why would I? That thing's sitting there. It's #inevitable that I'm going to find a great coach on the other side. It's inevitable. That was just like, I knew it because I'm never going to stop because I'm never going to give up on that. So then I eventually, inevitably found that first great coach that was really working with me. And all of a sudden now these team cycle bonuses are coming in $100 a week, $200 a week. Now I'm really not going to quit. Now I'm really not going to go anywhere, right? Every time I get a great coach or just a coach that once they have that strong leg built and then they get that first good business builder in that weak leg and that momentum starts to grow and they start to see those team bonuses start to grow 100 a week, 200 a week, that coaches, the level of involvement and dedication they have to their business goes 10x as soon as they find that really great coach on that one side. So that's kind of what I'm working on with my coaches. But that's kind of my story. Was I had this bank account, this little carryover account being built, pissed me off, and there was no way I was going to stop working to build that other side. I was going to find that first great coach. So that's kind of the things I teach is, if it's someone on my right side, I want them to know that I wanted to show them that here's this right leg. And here's the other thing I do that's really been super helpful for helping coaches understand how team bonuses work and the potential of team bonus. And it's really been awesome for creating strong connections on our team is anyone that's in that kind of that right leg. Not only do I show them the people's names, but I connect them with those people. So now it's not just like random names of people that are, in their right leg. It's a real person that they know anything they do benefits that person, and they know anything that person does benefits them. So now they're joined with their success in the business even more so, because they know exactly how that they're each building their right leg together. So if I'm placing someone on my right leg, I'm going to introduce that person to everybody that's above them in that right leg as well. And I started a group message called Team Righties. And so anytime I get a new person that I put in the bottom of my right leg, I add them to the Team Righties group message. And I say, hey guys, so-and-so just got added to the team in your right leg. Like anytime. And then each time I say, just a reminder, anytime one of us enrolls a coach in our right leg, it helps every other person on this group message's right leg. We help everyone's right leg together. And then they're all like, yo, like, welcome to the team. Like, we're going to kill this thing. We're going to crush each other's right legs. Team Righty, we rock, And then anytime I add someone to my left leg, I add them to the Team Lefty group message. And I say, hey guys, so-and-so just started as a coach and they're in your left leg, and anything they do helps your left leg, and anything we all do. Anytime we add a coach to our left leg, we help each other. And they're all like, yeah, Team Lefty, let's kill it. So I get them really comfortable with seeing all this potential that's growing, so they're never going to quit because they're never going to give up on that. And I create stronger connections because they see that they're all helping each other. It's all team-based. They're all creating tons of potential together. So that's even better, because the more connections you guys create amongst your teams, the more success you're going to have. The more connections a new coach has with other existing coaches on the team, the more likely they're going to stay with this thing long enough to start to see success themselves. So if you can start to get them connected with their upline and their downline, and you start to create that team culture of, hey, this is a team-based business, everything we do helps each other, they're more likely to stick around and see the potential and stick around long enough to inevitably find that person on that weak leg to kind of get the ball rolling. And that's when things really start to become fun. So that's kind of that. One analogy that has really, really helped my coaches is, have any of you guys ever tried to run up an escalator that was going down? Like when I was a kid, and my mom and my grandma would bring me to the mall, to like buy me basketball sneakers. Every year we would do this. But I always wanted to run up the escalator that was going down. Like, it was just like, seemed like a fun thing to do. Right. Maybe I'm the only troublemaker. Like, no one's raising their hand. They're like, I don't think anyone's done this except me. Okay, good. Jessica's done it. All right. Now I don't feel like the only troublemaker on the call. Now I know who is though. Okay. So this business is kind of like running up an escalator that's going down sometimes. And I'll explain that. And this really helps coaches a lot of times. So let's say, you enroll a coach and you start to kind of place coaches. Let's say you put them in your right leg and you start to place coaches in that coach's right leg, and they start to see that. And they're like, cool, I see this potential. Like, I want to do this, but I'm having trouble finding those first couple good coaches to help me get to Emerald, or my first business builder in my weak leg to help me get this ball rolling. and they start to kind of get a little discouraged. And I tell them, the secret to this business is find those leaders, find those couple good leaders that want to do this with you. But there's a catch. A lot of the leaders that you want, the people you really want on your team, they're going to have to watch you for a little while because they're busy doing other things in life. And if they don't believe that you are serious about this and that this is a real thing, they're not going to do this. But the only way you can prove to them that this is a real opportunity and that you're serious about this is for them to see you do this consistently for 6 months, sometimes a year, depending on the person. Just that's the catch. But eventually, inevitably, and we always say hashtag inevitably, it's inevitable that you eventually will. The only way you can mess this thing up is if you stop. There's no boss looking over your shoulder saying, you're not doing a good enough job, you're not going fast enough, you're fired. It's not like that. The only way you mess it up is if you just aren't consistent with it. So I tell them that the secret is to find those couple good leaders that want to do this with you. The catch is they're going to have to watch you for a while. But if you stay consistent long enough and prove it to them, it's inevitable. You'll find those few good people that want to do it. So what I tell them is you got to plant those seeds and you got to invite them. And when they tell you no, a no is a good thing because now they're going to watch you closer. You're their guinea pig. So plant those seeds, get your no's. They're going to watch you closer now. And now you need to earn that credibility. You got to earn that trust by showing up every day, staying on the escalator every day so they can continue to watch you. You gain their trust and eventually they come around and they're like, all right, I'm ready. But what do most coaches do? They get excited. They're running full speed up this escalator. They're like sharing their story. They're inviting like crazy. They're running. And they're like, oh my God, I'm not really moving as fast as I want, right? Like when you run up an escalator that's going down, you're running full speed. It's exciting at first. It's like a game, but you're not moving up the escalator as fast as you want because like we said, they need to watch you for a while. And then what happens when you stop? When you get discouraged or you get tired because your business isn't moving as fast as you want and you take a break. And if you're on an escalator going down and you stop running, what happens? Brings you back down. And that's what happens in this business to most coaches is they get excited, they're running like crazy, and they get halfway up the escalator. There's all these people that are watching and they're kind of getting closer and more interested, but they're not saying yes yet. And then the coach gets discouraged and then they stop. And all those seeds they planted, all those people that were watching see them stop and they're like, oh, good thing I didn't do that. They're not even doing it anymore. And they lose all that momentum, all that potential, and they go back down the escalator and they got to start all over again. And I did that to myself the first couple of years with this business. I just never stayed consistent enough. I was up and down the escalator, which was a pain in the butt. So that's kind of two things just for you guys to kind of remember. I'm a visual. I like to make things as simple as possible. So for my coaches, I tell them the Christmas tree thing. I try to get them on that team righty or team lefty group message. I try to get them to see the potential and continue to kind of share who's being added to that strong leg for them. So they kind of see the new people, the new faces being added to that. So they know it's constantly growing. But then I also tell them, to get that first great business builder on their other side, that's going to be the escalator mindset. And it's inevitable that you will if you have the escalator mindset and you make this a lifestyle and you share it and you love it and you let people watch you. It's inevitable that eventually they're going to come around and do this with you. So those are kind of the two things, the power leg, the Christmas tree kind of thing, the team righty, and then the escalator mindset on the other side. For you guys and for your leaders, what I'll tell you guys is that for you personally, if you guys are trying to build two legs on your own, that's great. Like I did that too. Or if you have one strong leg and you're trying to get that other leg going, what I'll tell you is that first great business builder you need to really get the momentum growing in that one leg that you're trying to grow, or if it's two, that one great business builder you need to really start to get the ball rolling and create that snowball effect doesn't have to be personally sponsored. Team volume is team volume. Another hashtag I'll say all the time is hashtag volume's volume. Volume is volume. And what I mean by that is it doesn't matter if a coach in your downline is personally sponsored or if that coach is 7 levels deep. Whatever their customers order from them creates the same team volume for you. Volume is volume. So for rank, yes, personally sponsored coaches help your rank and the other ones don't as much. But as far as team volume, which is really the thing that creates the income more so than rank, is volume's volume. Doesn't matter if it's personally sponsored or not. And so I work with non-personally sponsored coaches just as much or even more than my PS coaches. Because what happens if let's say you have a coach that signs up and then they sign up a coach. What would happen if you worked with that coach and you got them really excited and they got more engaged? Then your coach would see that and they'd get more engaged. So if you work with coaches that are 3 levels or 4 levels or whatever levels down, it's going to create a ripple effect of excitement all the way up through your whole business. So I'm working with coaches that are new, like as much as I am with the PS coaches. I have a coach on my team. That's 2 coaches on my team. One's ranked, I think, 12 in the business right now, currently, Ashley Feld-Dyson. And then another coach, Kate Morgan, I think is ranked like, I want to say 15. Ashley Feld-Dyson, she's been a coach for 3 years. I've worked with her like from the moment she became a coach, like all the last 3 years. She's 7 levels down in my business, right? Like her rank doesn't help my rank at all. What she does doesn't help my elite points at all because she's 7 levels down. So she's not going to help me rank advance. She's not going to help me hit elite, but volume's volume, and she's a volume king or a volume queen. Like she kills it, right? Like her team's killing it, and my team volume like has exploded because she's killing it, you know. And it's very cool for me to see her like having all the success, and for her to thank me and say, Pat, like you reaching down and working with me has had such an impact on my mindset, my belief in myself and my business. Like that's such a cool feeling for me to know that, yeah, she didn't help my rank. Yeah, she didn't help me with my elite points or anything, but she's killing it. And she's mentally and physically and in her business too. And maybe if I didn't spend that little bit of time reaching out to work with her, then I don't know, like who knows if she'd be having the success or if she'd still be a coach. So that's something I think that we get so caught up in rank and success club and elite points is that we only do those things. Like I think those things are amazing. I shoot for elite every year. I've hit it 4 years in a row. I shoot for success club. I've hit that like 72 months in a row. Like, rank, I shoot for rank, obviously like elite, rank, success club, huge. Like you definitely shoot for those things, but they're great indicators of great things, but they also sometimes miss some of the other things like working with coaches that are 7 levels down that are going to kill your team volume and crush your income, like blow your income up through the roof, like someone who's 7 levels down. So that's a mentality that I had was I want to create 5 great leaders. I want to create 5 leaders that are leaders of leaders. I want 5 leaders that don't even really need me anymore. And we can just like take trips together and like talk, and mastermind and do all these cool things, but they like have their own teams and they're leading their own teams of leaders. And that was always my MO was I just need 5 leaders like that. And that was drilled into my head, like from Bob and Keith. And the caveat to that is they don't have to be personally sponsored. 5 great leaders, but they don't have to be personally sponsored. So obviously, Ashley's an unbelievable leader of leaders and, but she's not personally sponsored and that's fine with me. That's okay. Volume's volume. So those are just a few of the things that I try to talk to people about when I'm talking about comp plan and when I'm talking to leaders is I really try to get them to see, their team as their team and not just their personally sponsored as the most important. And then the other ones are just kind of there. I try to get them to see, leaders as leaders. And so when I do team calls on Zoom, I'm looking on my team calls to see whose eyes are like engaged. Like I remember, some of these coaches that weren't my coaches, and I'd see them and I'd be like, man, I can like see it in their eyes. Like they're hungry, they're taking notes, like they really want this. And then I reach out and I look in my downline and I say, who sponsored that coach? And I'll message that person and be like, hey, like I saw your coach on the team call, like they're killing it. I want to talk to that person. And then that gets that new coach excited. It gets my coach is excited because they saw me recognize one of their new people. And it just creates this more excitement on the team and more coaches killing it. So I'm always looking for coaches that I can connect with. I don't care if they're 10 levels down. Like I want to work with that new energy, the people that really want it. And so if you have someone that's doing okay and they bring in someone that's killing it, like you want to work with that person that really wants it. You guys know who Darren Hardy is? I think he was at Summit last year. One thing I remember him saying was, you got to dig for your diamonds. So we tend to think our diamonds are only personally sponsored, or our leaders are only our personally sponsored leaders. He said, you got to dig for diamonds or dig for leaders. So his thing was like, let's say you bring someone in that as far as like their productivity and their commitment, they're like a 4 or a 5 out of 10 as far as like how bad they really want it. And then let's say, maybe they get lucky and they bring someone in that has like a commitment of like a 6, like they want it like at a 6, like that's where your time goes is, okay, this person really wants it. They deserve my time. Let me work with them. And then if you work with them, then they're probably commitment's going to go from a 6 to a 7. And then they'll maybe bring in a 7. And then you say, okay, this person wants it as bad as a 7. That's where my time goes. Work with them. You get them to like, oh, now they want it as an 8. They're going to now maybe bring in an 8. Then your time goes to that 8. You work with that 8, you get them to a 9. They bring in a 9, your time goes there. They bring in a 10. You work with that 10, and now you have an 11. And you dig for your leaders, you dig for your diamonds. And that's one of the coolest things about the business is you're never capped. Like volume's volume. It doesn't matter if that volume's coming from a PS coach or if that volume's coming from a coach that's 100 levels down. Volume's volume. Team volume's volume. That's why the earning potential is crazy through the roof. And I think as coaches continue to stay focused on, their rank and Success Club and Elite, but then also start to make a little bit of extra time to try to work with some of those non-PS coaches, I think their volume's going to go to another level. And it will, like I've seen it happen over and over again. So those are just a few tips on kind of how to get your coaches excited and kind of explain to them what's going on so they see the potential, but then also, what you guys can do as leaders to start to create more energy with your non-PS coaches, which ripples up to your PS coaches, trust me, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's it. I don't know how long you guys usually do these calls.
We usually cap it by an hour, but I know you said you do your Christmas tree. What do you recommend people do when they get to like the point of a second CBC? Do you still stick them outside or do you go back in?
Yeah. So this whole like building your bank account thing, like if you have a spouse or a family member and you put that coach, at the very top of one of your legs, then, now anytime you put a coach like under your spouse, then that's like every time that coach buys or sells something, it's a deposit into your spouse's right bank account and your right bank account. This is vice versa, right? Like I'm saying right, this is my right hand, but you guys, is this your left over? But we call that double dipping. So, it's huge because now you're earning double on anything that gets purchased from, the coaches in that right leg or sold from the coaches in your right leg. And then let's say you have this is kind of how I teach it. I don't know how Melanie teaches it. And I know people do it a little different, but I always say that if you know that your upline is going to build one of your legs, kind of like that's going to be kind of your strong leg. Do you guys use that term like power leg? Strong. So you guys are all leaders. So you guys are all you're going to all kind of be building like a strong leg for, for the people that you enroll, right? So whether that's their left or their right. So what I always recommend is I tell them, okay, hey, like, you're on your team righty, like we're going to be building your right leg, you want your spouse to be the very first coach in your left leg, in the weak leg, is kind of how we do it. Because now, like, they're going to be putting a lot of coaches on their underneath their spouse on that weak leg. That's where they're going to be putting a lot of their people. And then, like, when they get their second business center open, so when you get to 2-star diamond, I have them put their second business center in the weak leg of their spouse. So if I had like a diagram, let's say your strong leg's your right leg, you put your spouse at the top of your left leg. You're going to be putting coaches in your left and your right because you need balance to get your rank up, right? But most of your coaches are going to be putting on that left leg, the weak leg, underneath your spouse. And then so anything you're putting underneath on that weak leg is helping you start to cycle more. It's starting to build your spouse's, that would be your spouse's strong leg. And then when you get your second business center open, then you put that in your spouse's weak leg to start to build the weak leg of your spouse. You guys with me on that?
I think that's a question people ask a lot, because at this point, as people are getting to diamond and star diamond and close to 2-star, it's like, well, where do you put that spouse? And I know, like, for me, like, my legs have been equal since 1 year as a coach. So to this day, I actually build both regularly every now and then. One will be a little higher than the other. Mine are equal. And to me, that's a really good thing, because I don't have carryover and I don't have any money sitting out there wasted.
That's the music to my ears.
So I have it. I mean, obviously you can't necessarily determine who's going to really rock it and who's not. My legs are equal and have been for the last 4 years. So I can place based off of rank. I don't have the weak leg, strong leg. But I think like that, like you have to realize one thing, that your weak and strong can change. Because when I did start, I had a strong leg. You know, I was placed on a leg that was growing from my coach and other coaches. But then I placed all my personally sponsored on my weak. You know, I had the minimum on my strong, and then I had everyone else on my weak. And then my weak outgrew that prior strong. So just realize that if you're sitting there like, oh crap, my spouse is on my strong leg, that actually doesn't always have to stay the same, because if you place other coaches on your weak and they rock it, that will become your new strong leg, or could become a strong leg. And then all of a sudden your husband's on your weak leg. Right. So I think some people freak out and they're like, oh, I'm going to cancel my husband and wait 6 months and sign him back up and put him on this leg. And like people get all worried about it, but it will all balance out in the end. Right. If you're equal, to me, that's the ideal world, because then you maximize everything that you have and you go for rank, not volume. But if you're not, then just know that it can change. It's all driven by what your coaches do underneath you. So if you, like for me, like I'm at a point now where the next CBC I open, I will place on an inside leg of my husband's account, because he does have a crazy amount of carryover at this point. But that whole, like the whole weak leg, strong leg, left leg, right, all that stuff is irrelevant. Just watch your numbers, because it all changes. And it can change with one rock star coach that takes off under you. Yeah.
They flip. They can flip all the time. So yeah, it does change. But yeah, like you always kind of want to be thinking about like building a really, like let's say you have a spouse, like you always want to be like thinking, okay, like this spouse has like one super strong leg that is being built. My next business center is going to go in that weak leg of the spouse. So like but in the meantime, like I can't open a second business center yet, because you're not a 2-star for some of you. You're kind of thinking, okay, like eventually when I do open my second business center, it's going to go in the weak leg of my spouse. So in the meantime, I'm going to make the strong leg of my spouse like kick ass. Like I'm going to make that so strong so that when I do open my second business center, I'm not going to ever have to go back over to that strong leg. I'm going to put the second business center in the weak leg of my spouse, and I'm just going to focus on that. And I won't have to go back over to the strong leg, because it's so strong. But that's like kind of an ideal world. But yeah, I honestly like the balanced legs. Like I think that's such a cool thing, because you never have to worry about having carryover that's sitting there. Carryover is cool. Like it's sitting there and it like can motivate you, but you're not getting paid. You're getting delayed on when you get paid for that. It's sitting there for a while until you actually earn the income from it. But if you're balanced, you're earning a real income from that, like in real time. It's not sitting in a carryover account or anything like that. But if you do have balance, like you were saying, you're going to pop a leader in both legs eventually. And then all of a sudden your legs might flip. Like I had very balanced legs, and then, Ashley came around, and all of a sudden now that leg's like super strong, so now I'm focusing a lot of time, like working on the other side. But yeah, to answer your question, where you want to put your spouse and your, then your second business center, the easiest way to think about it is I just try to put the next, I try to put the business center, the new one, I try to put it in the weak leg of the last one, the previous one. So like my second business center, I put in the weak leg of my first, and then my third business center, I put in the weak leg of my second. Just